Welcome, everybody. This is Into the Aether, Volume 1, Episode 1, with Tylp, Enky, and Thorne. How is everybody doing today? Tylp, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Dylan?
I am doing all right. So this is our first episode. I know I'm really excited to be doing this. How about you?
I'm super stoked. I'm just a little giggly. Don't mind me.
Little giggly?
Oh, yeah. He was totally giggly.
Totally giggly. Well, I know I kind of am too. It's first episode jitters and all of that. So just let's kind of go ahead and introduce ourselves. As I said, I am Thorne. I have been playing Final Fantasy XIV for a couple of years now. Kind of started back in the middle of, I'd say, Heaven's Word. I did play 1.0 for a little while. I admit, though, after a month, I kind of kind of took off for a little while, but I was really excited to come back and check out the game. I was like, wow, I don't know why I ever left. I am primarily a role player. I RP on Balmung, I know, but still a proud Balmunger. What about you? Well,
to be honest, I've been everywhere. I actually came from the good old days of 11, so then I jumped on to the 1.0. Never really got to play it because, PlayStation should have been in beta and in the game. They never did. And then on top of that, polygons on your plants were a lot more detailed than your character model. So my experience of 1.0 was hit. But other than that, I've enjoyed 1.0 all the way up till now. Even with its hiccups and bumps and, oh my god, you crashed a server while just going fishing. I do pretty much everything. Like, I've done raiding, I've done PvP, but I can't say I'm fully set into anything other than the fact that if I can do it full keyboard, I'm all into it.
So yeah, you kind of get to experience all levels of the game. I've done some PvE, but I'm going to go ahead and just admit right now, I am not the greatest raider. I am that person who somehow doesn't manage to get out of the AoE in time and wipes the raid. So
it's okay. My raiding experience is all casual. We all kind of agreed that if we went super serious, that it's probably not going to end up being fun. So
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I have friends on both sides. People who are a little bit more relaxed and chill, and then I have friends who are also you get one. First time you make a mistake, you get one. The second time, we're gonna have words.
Oh jeez, it sounds so intense.
They're very good. They are really good, and sometimes that's what it takes. So. As we kind of said at the top of the episode, this is our kind of episode 1 of the revival of Into the Aether. We're all really excited to be doing this. Our third co-host, Enky, unfortunately could not be with us. She's traveling back to the UK from the United States and ran into a little bit of a travel issue. She will be with us next episode.
You could say that she got lost into the Aether.
She did.
Sorry, I was holding that in this whole time.
And he'll be here all episode, everyone. Only on our podcast.
Hi.
So.
But anyways, as you were saying...
Tip your waiters. But yeah, no, I know that she kind of is really sad that she couldn't be here for our first episode, but you'll get to, meet her next episode, so it'll be very exciting. For right now, we're going to go ahead and jump into the news. First up, we have Little Ladies' Day. It will be ending Wednesday, March 13th at 7:59 PDT. So if you haven't gotten your flower crown yet, get on top of that. You've got 3 days. You've been warned.
Oh, man. It's going to be even less time because I don't think I can get this edited by the end of the day. Oh, no. I'm kidding.
You're not going to have your flower crown. You're just going to have to buy it from the Mog Station next year.
Oh, God. I hate that. I'm still waiting for, all those little minions, from the CDs and stuff that you can no longer get.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So
it's so tough when you miss a holiday because, yeah, you're like, oh.
Miss a holiday. Like by the way, I also forgot to mention I have 2 accounts because one won't let me actually do expansions for some reason. But I'll talk about that another time.
Yep.
So, other news, you got like the UA or North America and UA. Wow, I combined the two. North America and European data centers expanding here very soon. April 2nd, the European actually gets the Light data center, which Lich, Odin, Phoenix, Shiva, and Zodiac are actually being moved over. And then North America is actually going to be later in the month, around April 23rd. And you'll see the Crystal data center. Wow, can't even speak. And this is where it's going to get really exciting. Balmung, Brynhildr, Coral, Diablos, Goblin, Marble, Mateus, and Zalara are actually being moved over.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of interesting conversations on both sides for like the EU and NA. I've heard some things said as far as like the EU people are kind of like they're happy they're getting a new data center.
Aren't they also getting like 2 extra servers too?
I think so. I think that they're actually they are getting a couple of new servers along with that. So that's hopefully is going to increase stability for them. I hear that sometimes that can be like a little shaky. But at the same time, I've also heard some things as far as, there's some people who are kind of sad over it because they've all been part of one data center.
Yeah,
and especially with server guesting, it's like, oh, we're going to be parted from our friends.
Yeah, like right now, Balmung, you're actually from Balmung and I'm from Adamantoise. Yep. The problem is that I do have, well, I guess it's not a problem. I do have a character on Zalara. Or Zalara. I keep pronouncing it different. Don't mind me. It's just that, I half of my raid team is actually from Balmung. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I know that there's been a lot of talk as far as, what some of the raiders are going to do, whether or not they're going to go into Aether, which has been kind of unofficially, whether we like it or not, has been unofficially dubbed as kind of the PvE data center. Whether or not they're going to go over there or whether or not they're going to kind of stay on Crystal and try to keep things going here. It will be interesting. I will be very fascinated to see how the population dispersal kind of falls out, how it shakes out.
But hey,
I know for certain. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say on the bright side, I think it's like 2 weeks after the data center moves, you have a free teleport, and I'm pretty sure it's both Crystal and Light servers. So if you get moved in the transfer there, you will actually have a free, as far as I know, move from that server, data center, your choice.
Character transfer?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, that'll be good. So that way everybody can kind of get settled where they ultimately want to be long term. That said, I know the one thing that, especially like from FanFest that I saw that the developers are really excited about is the possibility that some of the Balmung people may disperse to other servers. Oh
god, if they do, I'm actually going to probably move my character from Zalara to Balmung, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. It was one of those things, like, when I saw them talking about that, it's like, and Balmung players can, ... And I kind of, like, sat there smiling, like, you think that, but I don't know. We like our server.
This will be determined at a later date.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that will be interesting. Also, we have posted up is the Jp Fanfest Schedule. If you have not checked that out, that is on the Final Fantasy XIV Lodestone. Day 1, we have the Yoshida keynote address, which I think a lot of us are kind of on pins and needles to hear that and everything else that will be announced for the expansion. And we'll be talking about that pretty soon. We also have the opening ceremony. Welcome to Nikoi's room.
I'm kind of curious about that one. Right? I'm pretty sure it's Nikoi.
Yeah. I think that, I don't know if they've actually announced who this special guest is going to be, but it'll be kind of interesting who they have. So I know that they've had some pretty exciting guests before. they'll also have the cosplay contest, which I know I always love watching that, just because it's so incredible to see the creativity of what people come up with. I know at North American Fan Fest, like some of the costumes I saw, it was unreal what some of the people came up with.
Oh yeah. It's one thing to see the American cosplayers. European ones are actually a lot more how do I even put, like, America, they do have their top tier cosplayers, but then I feel like European is the next level, and then Japanese, because cosplay to them is still is fairly new. It seems like there are a lot different tiers. So you got like very high quality people that probably spent years trying to actually fabricate it themselves, and then you have those people that will come in with this thing they made from 2 weeks ago that is almost on the same level, if not better, than those that took a year. So it's very interesting to see how many cosplays are actually going to be on this contest. Because I also see that it's an hour and 30 minutes. I think that one's the shorter one compared to European.
Yeah, I mean, and it may just be a matter of like the amount of expected contestants. Like you said, it's as far as, cosplay, maybe fairly new still to Japanese players. So, so that's going to round out day one as far as what will be live streamed. There's also going to be the piano concert. However, that will not be broadcasted.
Which, if
day two,
if you haven't seen it, I wish they would not take the videos down, because there is just so much joy, and I'm actually kicking myself for not going to the piano concert.
I missed it too, so you're not alone.
Oh no.
I did. It was one of those things, like I was so tired on that second day that I knew I had to kind of sit something out, and it was the piano concert. I needed a nap. FanFest was crazy. Yeah. So.
For me, it was, hey, let's go eat, and then we can come back. And by the time we came back, it was like over, and it's like, oh, well, we'll just go play games. Oh, those are closed too. Well, up to the room, go play some Let's Go Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Yeah, it came out that weekend, so I did that.
No, it's funny. Day two, we have the Letter from Producer Live, Part L. I believe that's the 50th installment of the live letter.
It is.
So
it'll be interesting. I think this one they're actually going to talk a little bit more about Shadowbringers as opposed to the next patch, because the next patch is the final patch, and I think it actually drops the following Tuesday. So, and that's just going to be.
I know it's supposed to be pretty close. Yeah. It's going to be almost right on top of each other.
Yeah, and I know that's just going to be the closing of the story, so they're not going to have too much on that, because it's ending the story. They're not going to want to spoil the good stuff.
Yeah, I always kind of like how, you have the keynote address. That's kind of like your 50-foot view as far as what's going to be coming in, as far as the next expansion. Letter for Producer, that's where they always get into like the more technical details of what we can expect. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, definitely I'm going to make a point to be to watch both of those. So, really super excited. Then we also will have the development panel. So that will kind of go over the behind the scenes as far as how Final Fantasy XIV is made. Then we'll have Welcome to Nikoi's Room Part 2.
Next, it kind of makes me wonder if they're going to just like have a set that looks like a bedroom with a couch that they just sit on, with like Final Fantasy XIV fanfare just all over the fake walls.
Fat chocobo pillows and, fat cat pillows and stuff like that.
Fat cat minions just lounging on the side of the couch.
Gosh, that sounds super comfortable now.
It does.
Ideas for decorating. I'm gonna have to put that on a little post-it note. Talk to my husband like, hey, what do you think about chocobos? He'll probably look at me like,
no? Okay.
What?
How about a fat cat?
We already have a fat cat. He's like, yeah, that's enough.
Oh, geez.
We don't need pillows to go with it. We're good. And And then rounding it out is going to be Alienware presents the Feast Regional Championship 2018 Japan Finals. So if you're into PvE or PvP, you're going to want to definitely check that one out.
Which, I'm seeing them actually pushing the Feast as more of a esports as of late. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the teams in both the American and the European FanFest had jerseys. And
that's something I think that, SE has been definitely trying to kind of gear for a while, like especially with the Feast. I think that's something that they've been wanting to do for quite some time. And it's kind of like really, it's cool to see that it's actually really starting to emerge a little bit more as far as, like you said, that they had teams with jerseys. I think at NA FanFest, I think it did actually have a fair amount of spectators.
Which is weird, but cool at the same time.
What, spectating PvP?
Yeah, at least Final Fantasy-wise, because when I hear people talk about it in the community, at times it just doesn't sound like they're too happy with it, but then at the times you hear the opposite reaction from another set of community. So it's just very interesting that they're pushing it.
I think actually, especially some of the new PvP battlegrounds that they've had, I actually thought they were pretty good. They were quite enjoyable.
I've still yet to try the new one.
Like the Rival Wings?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, the newest one actually was pretty cool. It felt like it was less about, beating the crap out of each other versus actually trying to complete a goal, which I really liked. Okay. I've done Frontlines before, and that it's great for a roulette. I have fun with it, but even then, especially having played PvP in other games, it doesn't get you like that feeling of excitement, that the blood pumping. But the newest ones, yeah, you get that, and it's really exciting. You have to have like the teamwork. You're going after this goal. It's good. You should definitely try it out.
I'll add that to my notes now.
Your to-do list.
My to-do list.
All right, I think that just about wraps up the news.
Yeah, I was actually going to try to peek at the FanFest, because I know that sometimes they have like random stuff that, like we had the Fat Chocobo hat, and then European had the in-game currency, which was actually pretty cool, to be honest. And I'm kind of curious what Japanese guys get. And now I should have realized I should have done that beforehand.
Whoops.
Whoopsies.
For anybody who's actually wanting to watch the live stream of the JP FanFest events, you can actually go to Final Fantasy XIV's Twitch channel, found at www.twitch.tv/FinalFantasyXIV. So definitely make sure that you keep that in mind. That will be, I believe, the weekend of March 23rd and 24th for us here in North America.
So please look forward to it.
Indeed.
I just realized that it's only 12 days, 3 hours, and 4 minutes away. If you
just only realized that.
Yep, because I looked at the site.
Oh, okay, I get that. Yeah, okay, fine.
Oh, did we have the Alpha plushie with Omega?
I don't think so.
They have the Omega with the Alpha plushie. Oh, now I'm really jealous.
See, like, the Alpha plushie, yes. Omega, I'm kind of like, but Alpha, yeah. He's adorable.
Oh my god, there's just so...
Is he in the Ironworks tunic and everything like that?
Yep. And he's standing instead of sitting.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I'll add the links into the description below for you guys, because like there's also a wallet that has Alpha and the Moogle, and it looks adorable, and I'm kind of mad that they didn't have it.
Hey, everybody gets something new, and I know that it's going to be available for everybody to buy later off of the SE store, so
just like
definitely check those things out.
Just like, and now I wish that they had this towel out when we at the American Fan Fest, but I know that it would have gave out spoilers, especially when the quote is, "We are the warriors of light and darkness." and it's a towel.
That would have caused a lot of conversation at NA FanFest, that's for sure.
Yep, until the trailer dropped. On top of that, they also have... I don't know if you've ever done nanoblocks. They're like very miniature Legos.
No, I've never done that.
Oh, they have a Spriggan and a Cactar. Again, all this will be linked in the description below. Because, like, it's something that you have to see, because there's a lot of stuff in there. And I'm pretty sure they'll move it over to the SE store eventually. Except for the stuff that would be exclusive, like, for instance, the FanFest towel. God, that still makes me angry. But, again...
Well, just order one in time for the expansion, and then you can have your towel when you're playing.
Yes, Warrior of Light and Darkness.
Like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. You'll know where your towel is.
Always bring a towel.
Yes.
Answer to Life is 42.
However, we don't know what the question is.
Nope. Question could be anything, like what the next job might be or battle changes.
Yeah, so that's kind of leading into our main topic for today, which is going to be Japanese FanFest predictions and speculations. So, starting with job and battle changes, since you kind of mentioned that, what do you think?
So, clearly we're going to get another job announcement. There was no hints that anybody had actually noticed in any of the trailers or, not letter from the producers, the keynotes. So, it is technically up in the air of what this second job could be. Clearly, everybody knows it's going to be a healer because we got a tank job, and it just wouldn't make sense to have a tank job and a healing job and a DPS. So it's going to probably be just the tank and healing. Because if you go tank and DPS, it doesn't make sense. There's no balance. And if you notice... I
don't know.
Notice the key topic of the next expansion is balance.
Balance, yes. So, specifically, I think that we have had hints. I think that there's been hints. I don't think that they necessarily have, hasn't been in the previous letters to the producer. I don't think they really gave any, like you said, at EU FanFest as far as what the second job is going to be. However, I think it was in the last patch where Y'shtola is fighting on the steps with the various Zayla tribes. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Where she was fighting Sadu and everything like that. So there was that whole thing at the end of that battle that you do, as far as in the MSQ, where Y'shtola, if you've ever played Final Fantasy X, she all of a sudden starts doing this dance that, if you've played 10, is pretty recognizable. Yep,
I do remember that.
And I remember thinking, like, that's Dancer, because it's Yuna's sending dance from 10. And it's like, if that's not a hint, I don't know what is. And I really strongly feel that we're going to see that.
That makes sense, because Y'shtola also had the Astrologian Globe protection thing. If you remember, in there was one battle before they disappeared, and she had that. I can't remember if it was before or after Heavensward, but I'm fairly sure we've seen it right before the Heavensward drop. I will have to actually talk to our lore guy, Croatoan, and kind of get some confirmation on that, but I'm fairly sure I remember seeing the blue bubble before expansion.
Okay. So, maybe that's kind of... That'd be interesting if we do see some sort of pattern there, as far as Y'shtola kind of like hinting at the next job, kind of like how Thancred started out as a bard, went to ninja, and now is going to be a gunbreaker.
Yeah, and speaking of, I also think that we're actually going to see a lot more of the job gear, because like North America, I can't remember, it was Paladin, Red Mage, and I can't remember the third one. EU, I thought I saw 3 different jobs, like Samurai, I think Ninja, and something else. Bard, I think. So I'm wondering if we're going to actually get to see the actual, like, on the characters. Because I know they're not going to show any of the new gameplay of the jobs until, like, a later date. But there is also that possibility that they will show it.
Okay. Yeah, that will be definitely really interesting, really cool. I know that one thing that people were really excited about from the EU Fanfest was actually getting to see some of, like, the outfit that Thancred is wearing. For Gunbreaker. I know when I saw pictures of it, like my thoughts immediately went to Final Fantasy VIII to not Squall, but like Cypher's outfit.
Oh God,
with the long coat.
Yep. Actually, if you know,
Cypher was one of my favorites, so I was like, yeah.
If you noticed, all of the Gunbreaker emotes were Cypher's moves.
Which, you know, hey, Warriors of Darkness makes sense.
Yep. So if you look into that, I know when he points the gun at I'm totally botching it now, but I know when you look at it, the very beginning when he turns around and he has the sword over his thing, that's when he goes into battle. Okay. I remember that because I've been playing that a lot. And then you jump to the very end and he does the exact same Cypher. It was another Cypher pose. So it's kind of like we're seeing a lot of, like you say, Warrior Darkness type poses, because, you know, Cypher was technically the bad guy.
Yeah.
Even though
he was Ultimacia's knight.
Even though in his mind he was fighting for the light. In his mind.
And with the new expansion, there's definitely some parity between themes in 8 and themes in this game. So, I'll be really interested to see where we go with that. One thing that I kind of have actually wondered in regards to jobs, considering that they keep on talking about light and dark, is, and this may be like really out there, but whether or not we may actually get kind of a second mode to the new jobs. Whereas we have Gunbreaker, it's a tank, but what if it did have like a DPS mode? So kind of like how Arcanist has Summoner, which is DPS, but then has Scholar, which is healer.
Okay. But yeah, also, I just kind of heard a little bit. It's still kind of in the talks, but they're saying that she used it in 1.0, as well as in 2.x in Castrum Century cutscene. So there was a little bit of a hint here and there, but it was also back in 1.1 or 1.0 as well. So.
Okay.
So I guess you may be right, you may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're right, because it's kind of a very detailed thing to toss in, especially at that certain point in time.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely one of those look at me moments.
Yep. So I think you might be right. It's probably going to be Dancer, and they're going to have a Unidance.
I like the Unidance, so I'm okay with that.
I'm kind of curious to see what other dances, and I'm not saying that it's going to be like a full dance for the spells. It's probably just going to be like a quick, like a jig, waltz, you know, just something animation wise. But like, I could see the Unidance being their either victory or battle pose.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So I'm thinking it's going to be victory, because, you know, you're sending away the things you killed.
Okay. So, any other kind of predictions or speculations regarding job or battle changes?
You know, battle changes, clearly they did say that we were getting rid of TP. I'm very curious to see how that's actually going to work out, because, like, being a full-time Dragoon, I rely heavily on my TP, and for it to be turned into something new, like battle points, which I highly doubt it's going to be called battle points, but I'm just throwing it out there like that. It's going to be very interesting to see how they incorporate all these changes for bards, paladin, especially paladin to dark knights, who actually use both TP and MP. Like that's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm main bard, so I could have also used both TP and MP. I think I remember hearing something, and I could be wrong here, that it was all going to be combined into MP, maybe? I'm not sure.
Yep, they said it was going to be moved over to MP.
Yeah, okay. And the first thing I thought of was like, well, refresh just became a whole lot more useful.
Yep. And
I am everybody's friend now.
It's sad because Dragoon, Invigorate, it was such a very handy tool. Now all of a sudden it's going to go, where'd it go?
Yeah.
Oh,
one thing as far as battle changes, even though it's minor, and again, like I said, I main Bard, but I would be really, really excited if we get something kind of like what Scholars and Summoners have as far as in Bane, where we can spread our debuffs from like Venomous Bite onto multiple targets at the same time.
Ooh.
That would make me so happy.
That would be nice. But
so as far as like, doing like AoE damage, that was kind of always, a little bit lazy, I admit, but that was kind of always one thing I always wish it was there, that I could disperse that debuff onto multiple targets at the same time. So pretty minor. I know that they're going to be getting rid of a lot of skills as far as battle changes. So with the TP going away, things like Tactician, things that regenerate TP. Those are obviously going to go away.
Gold, yeah. Invigorate, yeah.
Yep. So, they'll definitely have to do something, especially in regards to ninjas, because I know that was kind of one thing, especially in raiding. I believe that ninjas were really, really desired for, was helping to regenerate TP. So they're going to have to do something to kind of help balance that out for them.
So it'll be kind of interesting to see it. At the same time, I'm really hoping that they play test this out quite a bit, because the last thing they need right now is another Umbral Calamity. I don't know if you know that joke, but
no, not familiar with it.
Okay, every once in a while when they actually introduce something and it kind of breaks the game, everybody keeps saying it's another Calamity. No.
Oh no.
But
well, we are supposedly we're going to forestall twin calamities. So
yeah,
who knows?
Lore wise, that's going to be interesting. Like there are hints that, especially with all the speculators out there and conspiracy theorists, Zodiark's coming back, and they think Hydaelyn's actually the bad guy now. And it's like, I don't think that's it, but at the same time, it makes a whole lot of sense why all of a sudden the Andaporian Keep characters are now in the video. And by the way, I also forgot to point this out. The video that we saw at FanFest, North America and European, were slightly the same. The one in Japan, according to the interview that someone had with Nokia Yoshida, is going to be very different. Different tone, different vibe. These were teaser trailers. We're actually going to get the trailer. So, spoilers, you have been warned.
Which is similar, if you think about it, like when they announced Stormblood. Like, if you remember when the trailer initially came out for NA FanFest, and then when it was expanded upon in EU FanFest, we had one tone to it, and we still kind of didn't really have... We didn't even know about Doma yet, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
And then when we saw the Japan FanFest trailer, it was like, bam.
Actually, you got that
there's
backwards.
All the stuff.
Was
it backwards?
Yep, because America, then Japan, which had the same trailer, and then a European one, because European is when they introduced Samurai, and then they had the Samurai outfit for you, Yoshi P to wear, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. Here's my money.
Yeah. But still, I remember though, like that third trailer though.
Yep, that third trailer.
It was quite different. Yeah.
And like I tried looking at it myself for this, and I can't seem to find it. Like I see the first one, and then the second one, and it's just like, okay, what happened to the first one or the second one? Not the here's this totally all in Alamigo, and then there's this one that's Alamigo, but here's Doma, and it's like
oh yeah, that moment like in the previous trailer, like where all of a sudden we're going across the sea, I was like, hold on.
Like,
what's this?
Yeah, it zooms out. It's like, oh yeah, here's the Eorzea. Oh, here's the big guys, the Empire. We're gonna go to them. Oh wait, nope, we're gonna take a detour over here. What's this place, guys?
So, okay, 2 questions. Do you think we're gonna have a moment like that in this next trailer?
I think we're gonna get an. Oh, that's what they meant in at one point, and I think that's going to be referencing more to why Y'shtola was called Matoya, and then we're going to have just the exact same thing from the European FanFest back in Stormblood announcements, where it's like, oh, but here's this, and then everybody's going to be like, what? We're going to go to a new world, which, by the way, a new world now is actually going to be like, quote unquote, America. If you haven't played the Blue Mage job, I do recommend you play the Blue Mage job. It is very cool. The storyline is actually kind of very, very hitting close to home for Americans. You'll understand when you read it, but like, I think it, as opposed to like going straight up, we are going to get like a side stir, and we're going to go to quote unquote the new world. So that's my kind of thought on that. But
I'm really skeptical about us going to the new world. I don't think that's going to happen yet.
No.
Just because there's so much that they can do with that. It's so much is unwritten with the new world. It's kind of like a blank, just like a blank page. But there's so many other areas that they have that they've already kind of described a lot, but we haven't seen yet in game, that I think that they could bring that to us and save the new world for later. They're seeing...
That is true. They did say they...
Western Othard, for example.
Yeah. That is true. We got all that.
We have also Ilsabard. We have Thavnair, which I know a lot of my friends are like, please, let's go to Thavnair. I want to see Radatzan. There's a lot of people who want to see that. There's people. There's a couple of people who I talked about Mericidia, wanting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all these other areas that they've really kind of already started fleshing out in the lore that they could introduce that and then save the old world for later. Kind of continue to develop some of the lore through MSQ and other quests as far
more Blue Mage quests and stuff.
More Blue Mage quests, also other, future job hints, kind of like leave a little bit more crumbs before we actually get to the cake there.
Yep.
So
that does make sense. I am gonna say we may actually get another job. I totally forgot about this. It's just a long shot, and I know people are gonna be like, well, that's just dumb. You should not be thinking that. But it's the because in the new world they talk about all these beasts, and you have the Blue Mage that harnesses their stuff. I think we might also get Beastmaster from them. Probably not in 5.0, but like in 5.x series. So kind of like how Blue Mage was introduced to us at 4.5. We may get it in like, say, 5.x somewhere.
There's also been hints of, I know, like in previous patches of other possible jobs, like, one that immediately springs to mind is Geomancer.
Yep, Geomancer from the time we went up into, I think it was the temple?
It's Swallow's Compass?
Yeah, Swallow's Compass. Or no, yeah, Swallow's Compass with the guys with the bells.
Yep.
Another one, which was also, actually no, Geomancer was also hinted at in the Scholar Quest too. Or sorry, Astrologian.
Yeah.
Astrologian. One of those two healer classes. I can't remember now.
So, I know a lot of people I've talked to, they're like, nah, we're only going to get 2 jobs. They've already said previously that they're never going to do 3 jobs at once. It was too much. I really think, from things that I've seen before, and especially like, drawing back to FanFest in Vegas, they seem really determined this time around to kind of like outdo themselves, in my opinion.
Yep.
So I think that what we've seen so far, what they've shown us, I think it's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
And we better be getting off this ship pretty fast, because there's going to be so much information. Everybody's going to start going into a panic.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're only just getting a small sample of the whole thing, and it's just gonna like start making people go a little crazy after they get a little bit more of this taste.
Yep. It'll leave us with a lot to talk about until the expansion drops, that's for sure.
Indeed. Like, for instance, the new 24-man raid, Nier Automaton creators, and Dragon Quest creators is like, okay. That's a lot of information, especially since, you know, the last 24-man raid was special guest by the guys from Garo and the original Ogre Tactics, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Final Fantasy 12 director? Maybe story guy.
I think you're right, yeah.
And it's like, I love the Evil East series. Don't get me wrong. There were moments, and I'm not saying they're in the math problems, because remember, 42 is the answer. But it's just like, I love seeing this kind of crossover content that sticks. Like the partnership with Capcom, we have Rathalos, and he's just sitting there in trial roulette now. It's like, holy crap. I'm kind of curious of how they're going to expand the Final Fantasy lore, and if the end of the Evil East series has anything to do with that.
The end of the Evil East series is definitely part of what kind of leads me to believe that we're going to look at a little bit more of Western Othard, get into more of Damaska, like, you know, some of the other areas, probably see also some regions from 12.
Which wouldn't be bad, other than the...
Wouldn't be bad at all. And I think it's already like the Ratika Greatwood already seems like, I think either is or seems very similar to one of the zones in 12 where the Viera came from.
Okay.
So I think, don't quote me on that.
Oh, we've already quoted. I got a quote button right here. It's been hit.
Oh, no, darn it.
But yeah, all right. I do feel the exact same thing, that we're going to get a lot more from either Tactics, Ogre Tactics, or 12. We're going to get some more lore bits from there that influences the actual lore here.
Yeah.
So
the Nier Automata,
I'm pretty sure there's going to be a rift somewhere that takes us to it.
You think it's going to be rift? I don't know. I wonder almost if it's going to be tied more into Garlemald.
And that is a high possibility too.
Especially like, I mean, I've never played it, but, you know, from what I understand, that there's a lot of technology, some androids, stuff like that. So,
but then if you also think about it, we also have the Allegan technology. So technology, it's not far. Like, it was there in the yesteryears, but now it's a relic of the past. This could be a civilization that survived a calamity. Maybe, who knows? Or maybe it's just the original Allegan people? Because Azazla is a floating continent, basically.
True.
So.
And the art style does, from Azazla, seems like it could be very consistent with the art style from Nier Automata.
Yep. So I'm kind of curious if those two go hand in hand in this next expansion.
So, another big question.
Yes.
One that I know has kind of been divisive.
Uh-oh.
Are we going to another shard?
You know, 11...
Shard or time travel?
11
that's kind of been one thing that's...
played the time travel, and I think they played it to an extent very well. And this is kind of where my RP lore character comes in, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, at 11, they used the Atomos character model, which is those little weird, like, crown shaped with the big giant monster mouth that just float with a weird tail. Mm-hmm. They use that as your way of time traveling. If they were to do something similar to that, I would think it would be either like a corrupt Aether crystal, is my guess. Because I don't think they would want to use the same assets that 11 used like 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure they're going to go with something different, like, say, the corrupted crystal. or corrupted Aether shards. So I don't know if we're going to a different shard, because that is possible. Since oh god, I keep forgetting his name. Albert. I think Albert's his name. Keeps saying throw wide or throw open or throw wide the gates. I don't know if that means like, hey, we need to open up the darkness in us, or if that's leading to, hey, we need to open up the gates to our shard for them to flee to. Like, there's so much that they hinted at that it could go any way at this point.
So you mentioned throw open wide the gates for for one shard to flee to them. So do you think that there's a possibility that our shard could be disappearing?
I don't think our shard will be disappearing yet. Because if you remember during the Heaven's Sword finale of the Warriors of Darkness, their shard wasn't quite gone yet. It had just been bled, or not bled. Yeah, it had bled out the darkness, so it was nothing but light, and they had lost their forms. So it's kind of one of those weird gray spots that, because they're not tied to a physical body, that they can travel to the shards, but yet our shard hasn't. So has their shard recovered from the said calamity that it was approaching, or are they going into the final stages of that calamity and another shard is about to disappear? I don't know, to be honest. There's just so much that they hint at. And it's like, I'm hoping it's more of a, not a happy story, but more of a, like a, I don't know how to put it, to be honest. I'm like
a Pyrrhic victory almost?
Yep, I am at a loss of words now of what to think of it. But
it'll be...
I'm fair.
I think I agree with you in the fact that I think it's going to be a story where it's not necessarily about winning the day. It's maybe more about surviving.
Yep.
And getting to the next stage to where you can fight some more.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if the reason why we're throwing open the gates is because they actually had gotten their physical forms back, maybe? Or their physical forms from this Aether? Because they disappeared, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, they kind of went back home.
Yeah, I'm wondering if those bodies that they inhabited on our shard transferred over when Minfilia took them over, and they're coming back with the same forms, but they couldn't cross over like they did when they had no forms. So I'm wondering if that's another thing too.
Well, there's also, as far as in the most recent MSQ, spoiler alert.
But this is your warning.
As far as with, yes, this is your warning. If we haven't already kind of like dropped a couple spoilers already, this is your official warning. There's also the fact that the Scions, they're kind of out right now. They're all essentially comatose. They've been called somewhere.
Yep.
Theoretically to this other shard, to the shard where the Warriors of Darkness are from. So one thing I've also kind of noticed, at least me, and maybe I'm off here, is the developers are really good about giving at least some lore explanation to certain new features in the game. And as we've already discussed previously in this podcast, we're going to have a EU and NA server reorganization. And along with that, we're also going to get the ability to world visit, to guest on other servers.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
And I could see this kind of being tied in to the MSQ, the fact that we're able to go to other worlds, other shards. So,
okay.
I'm wondering if they make that part of the story.
That could be it, too. I didn't think about that. And yet, it's sitting right here in front of my face.
I like to tinfoil hat theorize a lot. I'm wrong as much as I am right, just because I make so many theories. It's kind of like, broken clock is right 2 times a day.
Yep.
So
broken clock is right 2 times a day. It's actually down the street from me.
Yep.
It's always 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think that's their way of saying, hey, breakfast serves at 9 o'clock here.
Whether it be morning or night, that's up to you.
Yep.
So,
but
I think that's...
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that I really kind of do have a feeling that that might be a thing. So I'll be interested to see how that pans out. We'll probably find out in the next patch. So
yeah. So until then, I don't know if we're going to have to speculate. I do. When is our next podcast actually set to record?
Our next podcast is set to record actually on the 24th.
Ooh.
So probably just after FanFest in Japan wraps up. So we'll at least have gotten through the keynote, probably also the live letter as well. So we're going to have a lot to talk about as far as seeing whether or not some of our predictions and speculations, how those panned out. Might have to keep a scorecard to see who was right and who was wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
Just so you know, if I'm always right, then I can't expand my knowledge here. So I'm going to say I'm wrong so I can expand my knowledge.
It'll be fun to find. For me, it doesn't really matter to me either way. It'll just be fun to find out. And that's kind of half the fun of all of those, is speculating, is trying to guess. And I know that this time around, as opposed to previous expansions, people, there was a lot of pretty accurate guesses as far as what was going to happen, where we were going to go, so on and so forth.
Yep. And then this last expansion, or this FanFest predictions from North America to EU was actually pretty spot on with the whole who the child was, is Thancred the next class, which, it was kind of blatant, obvious slap in the face with the whole gun, but, with it being Dark Knight influence, could he have been a Dark Knight with a different style gun? Or not gun, sword, because that was also kind of something new. Mm-hmm. But, now that we know that he is actually full gun breaker, new class, taking it, it's like, oh, well, that was kind of obvious. Oh, that child he's protected. It's clearly Menphilia, because otherwise, Daddy Thancred would not be doing something like that. Yeah, I use Daddy Thancred.
Daddy Thancred. You've heard it here. All right, so any other further speculations, guesses, theories?
There was that one with the when the patch dropped, 4.5. And EU kind of dropped the ball, and all of a sudden all these names and races were magically exposed in regular text. I don't know if we're getting another race or if we're getting both sexes of the race. So it's kind of like, I'm kind of intrigued to see what we're going to do with what they're going to do about that, because to be honest, I know quite a few people, especially on my raid team, who would love to play a Ronso class, which is kind of like a dog-cat hybrid with a horn. But quite a few were happy about the Vera, but then I know a lot of the community was pretty upset that there was no male Vera, at least during that. So, I'm kind of curious if they're going to do both sexes. I'm going to say that they are, and that we're going to get 2 playable races, but at the same time, probably just which is a total 180 from what they did from 1.0 to 2.0. A male race on a set race class, and then a female with the Vera. So I'm hoping they don't do that.
I kind of tend to think that we are going to get male Vera at some point. I think one of the things that we haven't seen male Vera so far, the models that we have for female Vera is, we had female Vera in 11, or not 11, sorry, in 12.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as kind of interpreting those assets within 14 is probably not as much of a struggle as trying to build a whole new model from the ground up, which is what they would essentially have to do with male Vera.
Yep.
So as far as making female Vera in-game, I think that's probably was a little bit easier. I don't think that maybe we'll have male Vera right away. I think that is something that it may get introduced as far as part of the story later on in the expansion, possibly.
Okay.
So,
go ahead.
Especially with the lore that they've presented.
Yeah. And then as for something that I noticed, we had both remakes of Final Fantasy X, 10-2, and Final Fantasy 12 remastered. So they have the assets there. So there is a chance that they could have just borrowed those and just added a little bit more texture to it. But
For Ronso.
For Ronso and Vera.
Okay.
Because if you noticed it,
Yeah.
both of those were remastered within at least 1 to 2 years from each other. Actually, 1 year from each other.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I didn't think about that. That is a really good point.
So,
yeah.
and then on top of that,
So there's
Evilise.
Crossing our fingers.
Yep.
So, what you're also telling me, especially with X2, that one of my favorite things, my favorite jobs, which is from X2, Gun Mage, may one day be in 14. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not saying no, but at the same time, I know Machinist was well designed with the Gun Mage aspect to it, but then they took it away. So then this last expansion, it kind of felt lackluster to its former self, to be honest. My opinion, though.
I kind of I want the dual pistols. I think that's just so cool looking. I love the dual pistols from X2. So, and just some of the different things that they kind of did. But yeah, there's a good point. Anytime I brought it up with some friends, they're like, but we already have machinists.
I mean, it would be very interesting to see it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to stick with, but you already have a machinist. You don't need a gun mage, but we'll see.
I'm going to cross my fingers. I would love a gun mage one day.
So
I would love that. So Essie, if you're listening, gun mage. Just consider it.
Also, we say hello from the Aether.
Yes, hello from the Aether.
So.
Hi, how are you doing? Alrighty, I think that pretty much just about wraps us up, doesn't it?
It does. I don't have any fireworks to... Oh, wait, I do. No, I don't. So say I have a little firework to pop and be like, boop! Yay! Pop!
I'm so disappointed in you. I mean, I feel betrayed.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Okay. We'll make sure that you have them next time. I'll bring some.
I'll go get some of those heaven crackers and just be like, pop! Yay!
Confetti everywhere.
Confetti everywhere.
Alrighty. So, where can they find you, Tylp?
Well, currently I'm still working on all of my social media stuff. So half the stuff you'll find is going to be on Twitter under Tylp, Instagram under just the Tylp, and I don't do Facebook, to be honest, because I don't like Facebook. Fight me. Fight me, I'm main warrior. I'm main Draco.
It's okay. I am not a Facebook person myself either. I know some people love it, but it's just not for me. I do have a Twitter account. You can find me at twitter.com/townbard. I am also on Tumblr, which is different. Sorry. And you can find me there at bardabouttown.tumblr.com.
Oh, yeah.
So
I also forgot about my Twitch. I am on Twitch. But the stuff I'll be streaming will be on under Aetherflow Media later on.
Mm-hmm.
But
and as for Aetherflow Media, which this podcast is published under, you can find Aetherflow Media at aetherflowmedia.com. There you will be able to find links to the Instagram account, Twitter, various other, I think they also have a Facebook page. Also, you'll be able to find links to the Patreon and PayPal accounts if you would like to make a donation. Patreon, that will be patreon.com/aetherflowmedia. And for PayPal, it'll be paypal.me/aetherflowmedia if you'd like to make a one-time donation. And if you do, that would be great. We'd really appreciate it. Any money that's donated goes to help produce the magazine, produce the website, and also this podcast, as well as any other YouTube videos that our team may create.
all the content that will be provided to you will be thanks to you guys, and also the Patreons will get shout-outs here very soon in the magazine.
Yeah. So with that, I think that is all for today. Thank you, Tylp. Enky, we miss you. We wish that you were here. We really, really look forward to having you next time. And from me, Dylan Thorne, thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you next time.
And until then, guys,
Goodbye.
we wish you all a wonderful eve.